Now we're gonna head over to Briar Road, the crime scene. Oh my god, that poor bike. What happened to it? Wow. Oh, there's a new snowman. William Robbins? Is that something you'll play on Robin Williams? Probably. No, probably not. So, this is where it happened. Briar Road. Ah, look! Mr. Naruhodo! Look at that regulation metal helmet! It's unmistakable! The men of Scotland Yard are here! They're investigating as we speak! There's only 2 of them, though. Is that enough? That is their job, you know. Oh my god, someone's hanging out their laundry in the wintertime? Do people do that? I guess they could. I guess you can't not do that as long as it's not snowing. For some reason it didn't occur. I guess like in the cold you don't think to hang laundry out. I guess you could. I don't know. But Miss Naruhodo, to see one with my own eyes. They're often depicted in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, but I never dreamt I'd ever come this close. To a real Bobby's helmet! What? The helmet? Of course! I have to try on one day. Whatever. Well, I hope your handy dream comes true. Oh shit. I already forgot his voice. Luigi. What if I just made it a Luigi? Mario! What's the Japanese delegation doing here? Doesn't quite suit him, but... Oh! Inspector Gregson! Luigi! This isn't on the tourist trail, as I'm fairly sure you're well aware. I guess I'm sticking with that. I'm sorry. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So you've been to the holding cell then. What do you make of the criminal? He's not a criminal as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. It doesn't bother me. The bloke's in court tomorrow, whatever happens. And the verdict is a foregone conclusion. Ugh, the stone-cold air of rejection. Take heart. London at this time of year is full of stone-cold air. That makes it worse somehow? Let's talk, I guess? Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about them in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am. Oh, and you know I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby's helmet? It does make them look the part, seeing that policeman there with his helmet on. Man, that guy's knees must be so fucking cold, though. You certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful? Luigi, how do you do... Mario! How do you do Luigi's voice? Luigi, I don't fucking know. Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh, really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes round and rouses all the laborers on his beat so they can get off to work. What? He wakes people up? Yep, raps on their windows with a long pole. Did it myself, going back a bit. What? Why are they the alarm clock? What? I had no idea. That doesn't make any sense. The Bobby works for the people of the town. It's just another one of those duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. I can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. Well, yesterday I went out on a walk for a little less than 5 miles, and I was very tired. So I'd imagine 20 miles is a long walk. 20 miles? That's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. And when it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps. Oh my. Man, I hope you're paying them well. And I suppose in between all those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well. And chase after criminals trying to evade the law. I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly. More alongside, but yes. chasing after a criminal. It's like, oh, hold up, I fucking have to light this lamp. Hold up, stop running, stop running. They're expected to handle those jobs well. We do have men kneeling over from time to time, I admit. Maybe you shouldn't make them do so much shit.
I'd always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream of you.
To you, Mr. Naruhodo. What? Why? Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. But that was weird. It happened at around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago. Just there on the open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in the hospital. I never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. You didn't say she was a lady. What? Does lady mean something else to you? I suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's yard policy to give lawyers defending suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still.
Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept.
Local map has been added to the corporate record. Anyway, as far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countryman. Who did it, do you think? Not much of a head scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but
just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean that we can be sure that nobody else was present.
I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure.
How?
Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have 2 very reliable witnesses, no less. It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them.
There were witnesses now?
Witnesses? Before we do that, let's look at the map. Meerschaum Street, Calabash Road, Briar Road. Are these real roads? Briar Road sounds fucking familiar. I don't know anything about London though, so I don't know if this is, I don't know how accurate this is. Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. He did it. He did it. He's a cop. He's sus. A policeman? That might change things.
And this policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment that the woman was attacked.
Nothing peculiar about that, madam. Part and parcel of being a body. Catching them banging in the act and all that. Why didn't he run after him then? Why did he let the man run away then? Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Be my guest. You can ask him what you like. In court tomorrow. Oh. I've no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So that'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems.
A policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed.
Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me that too. Oh yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? The person who led you to the suspect. I hear that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What are you bringing him up for? Was it something I said? The color is strained from his cheeks. I'm gonna go in order. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. It is all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now.
Yes, we did hear something to that effect.
And the only people he usually bothers with are the real scum. The master criminals. The violent ones.
Master criminals? The violent ones?
That's right. He handpicks his victims. Only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins.
But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely.
That's just my point, Sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So this isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for want of a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No, there's got to be more to it. Some reason he's taking an interest.
Really? What sort of reason, Inspector?
You think I can tell what's going on inside the head of the Lord of Darkness? You'll have to ask him yourself, at tomorrow's trial. Are we really gonna have to face the Reaper again? The Lord of Darkness, as he puts it. Why not? He's cute. Imagine just living your life going through with that mindset. Oh, he's a killer? Well, it's okay, he's cute. Just terrible, terrible. That's what they did with Ted Bundy, wasn't it? Oh, no. No, bad mindset. Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings.
I'm sure it was a result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions.
Fiddle faddle! That man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing in his mug everywhere. Oh, I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he?
He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he?
Gibble gabble! Ever seen this before? Oh, yes, that's the Rance magazine.
The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Sherlock Holmes appears, Herlock Sholmes.
Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard detectives in the stories. And the so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in any Herlock Sholmes tale at all.
Well, I suppose there is an element of that.
We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be frumped by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. That man's as dangerous to Scotland Yard as he is to all of our criminals.
That can't really be true, can it, Inspector?
Clearly, the great detective and the police have a complex relationship. I mean, it wouldn't be an issue if he was actually right with his deductions. His deductions are like half right. So I sympathize with the man. Well, I don't think we're gonna get any more useful information out of the detective. Let's investigate the scene then.
Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion?
Oh, yes. What is it?
Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this.
By him? Do you mean Mr. Sholmes?
Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, exactly.
Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all this, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you just gonna ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet Mr. Sholmes again.
The trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address even.
It's Baker Street.
Oh. What was it, room 202 or whatever? Fucking something with 202, I think. How do you know that?
It's in the stories, of course.
220. Oh fuck! I fucked up. I'm a fraud.
221B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world.
Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We better try to find our way there before Susato-san gets any more excited and unpredictable.
Hurrah! I'll summon a carriage.
Not yet. So we're to have a reunion already with the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Not yet. We have to investigate the scene. We have to examine the scene. Hello. That's one of the officers from Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed. I have a feeling that if we wander too close, we'll be clapped in irons. Oh, so we can't investigate the scene?
I think perhaps you're being a little overcautious. We've done nothing wrong, so we have no cause for concern.
Oh no, I'm not getting caught out again. Twice is enough. Twice I found myself in handcuffs, despite not knowing a thing about what was going on.
Yes, you've had some dreadful experiences. I'm sure it's that wide-eyed look of panic you're so prone to. It does you no favors at all.
Guk. Okay, so we can't examine this in it? This patch of pavement must be where the incident occurred.
Yes, it's a very wide open space, isn't it?
That's true. I can't see anywhere an attacker could have been hiding. There's a bush right there. Oi, what are you foreigners doing here? Oh, we, just investigating a scene, officer. Conspiring with that mustache fella from Japan, are you? Conspiring? Come here to destroy evidence, have you? Get out here before I give you an in. Go on. So rude.
He shooed us away like rats.
Yes, we should give him a wide berth, I think. Berth?
What a disappointing experience.
It'd be like that, but look at this guy. He's like, yay!
Hehe, what a delightful snowman.
I didn't realize the English had a tradition of making snowmen as well. It looks a little creepy though.
Oh, it has a scarf. Look.
You'd need one if you were out in this freezing cold all the time. I wish I had one.
I'm afraid our budget is somewhat frozen at the moment too. We certainly can't afford a scarf.
Surely the snowman here wouldn't miss his.
But the person who made the snowman certainly would.
Yes, I know. You're right. Anyway, even if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, would it? It's covered in snow.
Oh, that's a Scotland Yard carriage. They use vehicles like this to rush to the crime scenes and cart away criminals.
You're very well informed, aren't you?
It's long been a dream of mine to ride one of those through the streets of London.
Well, just pick up a stone and throw it through one of the windows then.
But that would mean being arrested in order to ride it. Wouldn't it? Still, if it's the only way, help me find a good stone.
No, I wasn't serious. Oh, Susato. Yeah, what's up with this bike?
Oh, a British bicycle. Look. Although the wheel is so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be ridden anymore.
Someone must have been through some breakneck cycling.
It seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. There's even a movement to change women's dresses to allow them to ride as well.
The bicycle fad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that. Ha ha! That's funny because Phoenix rides a bicycle. Ha ha ha! Funny.
Goodness! Do you dislike bicycles?
No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. It's just that any occupation that involves taking both your feet off the firm ground seems reckless. If you'd ever tried walking on stilts and fallen into a river, I know you'd agree with me. What kind of life have you lived? What?
We'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You can sit behind me while I ride you around.
I want to see that.
That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it has a long and interesting history.
Well, time certainly seems to have taken a toll on the place. It's crooked and snagging all over. Or sagging, really. In fact, it looks in decidedly worse shape than the other houses around here.
We must find some cheap lodging ourselves as soon as possible.
Yes, you're right. Cheap, but ideally with reasonable level floors. This lamp is also right in front of the fucking door. What a terrible place to put a lamp. The clouds look so big and heavy in the sky, don't they? And with the dense fog as well, everything looks hazy.
Well, it is known as Foggy London Town.
I can just make out some sort of spires through the fog. It looks like it's still being built though. Oh, the one on the right?
Ah, yes! That must be the Crystal Tower, being built for the Great Exhibition that's to open in 6 months' time. Apparently, it's going to be very striking. Glazed on all sides and the symbolic centerpiece of the exhibition.
It's to be a large exposition. It's to be the largest exposition in history. Did I say that right? I don't know. It's to be the largest exposition in history, isn't it? I can't even begin to imagine it. Okay, Jesus. I am out of breath. Nothing else? Okay, guess we're done. Cool. And see you later, Luigi. New location's been added. We're going to go see Sholmes. Can we really visit, do you think? Oh, pinch me. I'm sure I must be dreaming. Oh, shut up. Fucking hell. Where's the snow?
Thank you very much.
It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day.
Thanks again.
You were right in front of it. What do you
This
mean?
is it. The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
His little English speaking. Look at that. Wow, this place looks a lot more grand than it did in Sherlock. Even got a balcony with a few birdhouses. That's cute. Also, yes, I forgot that I changed it to English stuff, so I was very confused when they were speaking in English. Oh, I think that letter is an homage. The letter that with the knife sticking. I'd imagine that some of these are homages to like the original stories and whatever. I feel like the letter thing looks familiar to me, but I can't fully remember. Maybe even the location is like the same. I don't know. I can't remember. So this is where the great detective base is living. It feels surreal to be here somehow. God, well, that wasn't there. How is her hair tied up? What? So it's like from the front goes loops to the back, and then the hair. Is the hair on the back tied up into like a loose ponytail? Huh. Is it as described in the stories, Mrs. Susato? I need you to turn around. Turn around. Susato-san? You turned around too much.
Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room.
Oh, I suppose they must have been, yes. I've never read the stories, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be.
The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping near your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, I suppose I can, yes.
So, if you don't mind,
Yoop.
I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a little longer. Please, don't mind me.
She's obsessed. And there's the violin. Are we gonna examine the place without talking to anyone? Well, it looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me, is anybody home?
Oh, do we have a visitor?
I think, yeah. What was the voice I gave her?
Hello, is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes?
Hello? Wait, aren't you?
Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once.
I'm sure it's the same girl. Mrs. Sato, did you see the girl who was just here?
Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case.
The King of Boheria?
King what? King Wilhelm Gottschritt Sigismund von Gemstubel.
Bitch, I'm not reading that.
Of course.
Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Sherlock Holmes for a second. Or whatever. And look over there.
The tea's brewed, and I have a freshly baked cake as well.
Something about her, like, her figure, the character figure, looks off to me. Like, she has the head she's like small in stature. She has like a head that looks like it's like either a little too big for her body, I think. But her hands look like they're so long. I don't know. It's something about her looks a little bit off to me.
It's you!
I knew it. Susato-san recognizes her too.
There you are! And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial running on my experimental smoke grenade launcher.
Yeah, her head is too big for her body, I think is what it is.
Good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of the machine.
It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGilda's trial in the defendant's antechamber.
I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London.
Oh, yes, it was challenging. She's kind of like, I don't remember her name, from Breath of the Wild. The little grandma that's like a small chibi girl. I think her name starts with a P or something, maybe?
Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know.
Oh, thanks. Is tea supposed to look like that color?
Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray! It's a winner! I tried blending 30 different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here, and you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend the Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck.
Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance?
Oh, you know Hurley, do you?
Hurley? Hurley? Mr. Sholmes to you, Shirley? Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see.
Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas.
Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think? And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Sholmes' suite?
Oh, silly me! I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. Iris Wilson. I lived here together with Hurley.
Ah, Iris is it? What a lovely name.
What?
What's the matter?
No, wait! This can't be! Did you say that your name is Wilson?
What's the matter with Susato-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden?
Yes, that's right. And what are your names?
Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan.
Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Runo. Got it.
Susie? And Runo? There's more to this girl than meets the eye. I have so many questions for her. I don't know where to start.
Yes, and so do I.
I don't even remember what Watson's name is supposed to be. What is Watson's first name? Hang on, let me look it up. John. I didn't remember his name being John. What? Okay, whatever. I guess it doesn't matter because you never hear him being called by his first name, I suppose. I'll talk to her first before I examine the room. It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey.
Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much.
Oh no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming. Though, at the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us.
Like this?
Go!
Thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you?
Oh yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade.
Oh, Ginny? Yes, she's a professional pickpocket.
So we found out.
It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that.
Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption?
Exactly. So I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions.
This girl is dangerous.
Anyway, I brought Ginny back here after that, so she could apologize to my trusty technician.
Sorry, your technician?
Hurley, of course, silly.
What? Hurley? What?
Hurley? Yes, Herlock Sholmes. We live here together.
I had no idea that the great detective had such a interesting young daughter.
Daughter? Not likely.
What?
I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I?
I guess not.
Well then, What is your relationship with Mr. Holmes? Sholmes, god damn it. Well, I expect you found out that lodging of any kind in London here is very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate.
Your roommates? And they were roommates.
I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at last this year.
Well, what of your mother and father?
Oh, no. They're not around.
Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. They're dead. That's the story.
Oh, yes. There's something I must ask you. Of course. Go ahead, Susie. I'm a very great fan of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes and... Oh, you have a copy of Rant's magazine. Yes, I read every issue. Or read every issue? I don't know. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world.
My stories?
That's right. Hurley is always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness! Last night, he was telling me all about a new case he solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you are the author? Yes, I'll let you in on a secret if you like. I'm going to call this latest adventure The Speckled Band.
The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar.
Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories, here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble.
Oh, that was Mr. Sholmes' first thought as well, actually.
Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but... It's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you? So, do you mean to say... Are the stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in Randus' magazine? All written by me? Yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all those stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson.
Susato-san's getting more and more worked up.
Ah, yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true too. I am a doctor of medicine.
No, at 10 years old?
At 10 years old?
Well, that's quite incredible.
But Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Ah, yes. I did alter the settings slightly for the story to be more compelling. Oh. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow.
I guess so.
I suppose it does, yes.
Poor Susato-san. She looks like her whole world has just fallen apart. Well, also the stories are like fake to some degree, right? Like she said that some of them, the details are a little bit off. Gosh, dang. About before.
Yes, yes. What's on your mind, you know? Do tell me.
How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean?
Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all of that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please, tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted. Although, there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris Wilson is proud to present her Logic and Reasoning Spectacular.
Oh god, we're doing it with you too?
First of all, I know already that you are a lawyer, Runo. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber.
But you also said that we only just arrived in London. How did you know that?
I observed the passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket.
Oh, You still have that in your pocket?
So I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that,
Vampire.
you accepted the case against a particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs.
Ugh, the Reaper of the Bailey. I walked right into that one, didn't I? What's that?
And then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with the suspect, weren't you? Earlier today.
Ah! They stamp your hand for that?
They use these stamps to keep a close eye on coming and goings, you see. Ah, I didn't realize. And your rare stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So, that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGillit, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you were wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I conclude that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case.
I see.
But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It obviously amused him. He told me he caught the Japanese man who was bawling and trembling.
A Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been...
Mr. Natsume! Now, Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case.
She's better at deducting than Holmes.
There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley's always stabbing his nose with a knife, you know. He is silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct?
They were spot on.
That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction.
You even managed to certain something of Mr. Sholmes' delivery.
Ah, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please?
Well, howdy. All right. So yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man. You were saying...
Yes. Hurley just arrived back in London after his sea voyage. But the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene.
Ah, the great detective is a popular man, it seems.
Apparently a woman was stabbed in a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene.
A short, shifty-looking, stooped man.
Mr. Natsume.
Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubt. So Seki-san said he didn't see anyone else on the streets at all. But it seems there were witnesses after all.
Hurley used his great detective powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man, shivering in fear.
Ugh, Mr. Sholmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark this time.
Of course it did! He's a great detective!
Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it?
Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime, or rife with crime even.
Oh.
Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it apparently. Oh dear, I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person.
How is this fucking advanced shit?
That's terrible! I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system.
Great as my ass. I suppose it is. But in that case, I don't hold out much hope for Saseki-san. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative.
Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun.
Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well.
Ah, well, I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene.
Of the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean?
Yes, Mr. Nuts. Oh, Ube? Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there.
Iris, do you know where those lodgings are?
Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there?
Yes, we know Inspector Gregson.
Ah, goody. In that case, give Gregsy this for me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know.
What is this?
A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems.
What? With the message on the back from Iris.
It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem."
Gosh, this will make the inspector help us, will it? Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. Are you paying him to tell us information?
Good luck then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band. And I'll be making more special blends of tea, so come back again soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris.
My goodness gracious, that was a lot of talking.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, it's back to the scene of the crime.
Oh, don't kick me out. So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men at Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note, and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. Shit, we didn't get a chance to investigate the room. Oh well. To be continued? Good. I'm tired, and I'm hungry, and I'm tired, and I'm hungry. It's a good place to end. So that was something. We met the little girl. We met Luigi. I don't know if anyone sees him as Luigi. I see him as Luigi, so that's why I'm calling him that. But curious to see how this is going to go. This is probably going to be a very long, a long episode because, yeah, it's investigation part 2. Damn. Yeah, because we have the investigation and then we have a trial, presuming that like it's all going to be within one episode. But that's something. I didn't even go for very long. Man, I'm tired. It's probably because it's an investigation, so there was a lot more talking involved. Well, no. I'm always talking, aren't I? Anyway, whatever. Thanks a lot for watching. I don't know if this session was that fun. I mean, I always have fun with this. But, yeah, next time we will meet up with Sholmes, hopefully, and go to the lodging place. I imagine the lodging has to be that shabby building that we saw, right? But that's really nearby. Well, I assume that's what it is anyway. Whatever, we'll find out when the time comes. Eat your veggies.